Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm trying to get the timing right when we're going live streaming to start this intro properly. All right, we are continuing. This is video number 50 of Elsie Lincoln Benedict's book reading of How to Get Anything You Want in 7 lessons. We are starting lesson 4 today. We've been through lesson 1 through 3 of this book, How to Get Anything You Want, all 3 lessons so far. If you've missed any of them, please go to my YouTube channel. All the links are somewhere, wherever you're watching this, if you're not already on YouTube. And I have a playlist of Elsie Lincoln Benedict's book, How to Get Anything You Want. We are reading this whole book together. We're studying it. I'm sharing stories. It is fabulous. And I am absolutely loving it. She is a metaphor queen like me, and we are continuing to learn how to get anything we want. We started with your predominant moods make your life, really figuring out what kind of moods we're in, how we're feeling all the time. Then lesson 2, how to change your moods, right? How to remake your mood. And then we finished lesson 3 on knowing what you want the most. Knowing what you want the most. Now we're into lesson 4. Set the next gauge for what you want. Let's set the next gauge for what we want. Let's continue learning together, y'all. All right. She starts with a story. I was visiting recently in the home of an up-to-date woman who decided that the gas stove, which she had been using in her kitchen for some years, should be discarded for a more modern and convenient electric one. But she encountered the opposition of her cook. All right, this was written in 1923, over 100 years ago. So she's saying she was visiting an up-to-date woman who decided that her gas stove, which she had been using in her kitchen for some years, it should be discarded for a more modern, convenient electric one. But she was encountering some opposition from her cook. I don't believe it will ever be satisfactory, said the cook. I don't see how it could. It doesn't stand to reason that a mere machine could do all the things you claim for this new fangled stove. My friend did not try to convince her cook, but my friend did not try to convince her, but took her down to the store and asked the demonstrator to explain how it could be operated. He told her of the almost human powers of this remarkable invention. How you set the gauges or indicators for preparing anything you want, and it will produce the exact degree of heat for the exact time you indicate, no more and no less. How you can set the stove's clock, just as you do your alarm, so that the heat will come on and, at the very moment you desire, stay on, and just the number of minutes you choose, and turn off at the end of that time. So this was over 100 years ago. This woman was trying to convince her cook, her help, that she wanted to trade the gas stove for an electric stove because it had all these bells and whistles. You could turn the time on, set the alarm. You don't have to keep checking it. It does it all itself. It turns on, turns off to the right heat, turns down. And this cook was like, you got to be kidding me. So the woman took her cook down to the demonstrating showroom so she could see all of this. For instance, if you want baked potatoes for dinner on the day of your club meeting, it is not necessary to rush home 3/4 of an hour ahead of time or upset your nerves and spoil your speech worrying about them. You put them into the oven when you leave at 3 o'clock, set the heat regulator at just the right temperature for perfect browning, set the clock for turning on the heat at the time and for turning it on and off so that many minutes later, and when you come in, there they are, done to perfection. If you also want spinach, there is a boiling oven and broiling plates too, all ready to work for you simultaneously, scientifically, and accurately in your absence. The demonstrator explained all this in detail. The cook was doubtful, but agreed to try it. A book of instructions came with it. All the time she was reading them, she exclaimed, the cook, "It's too good to be true. It simply can't be this easy and simple as that." But she carefully read the directions and conscientiously followed them. So the cook has been convinced at this point, said she'd give it a try. She's reading the book, the instruction book, and said, "This is too good to be true." In less than a week, her favorite topic of conversation was the wonders of that stove. So it will be with you. If you will carefully read and conscientiously follow these directions, you may set the gauges and indicators for anything you want. Go on about your everyday affairs, and someday it will materialize. So she's opening up with this beautiful story about this cook who saw this amazing new machine and all it was capable of to make her life easier in the kitchen. And she goes, "Oh my God, this thing, it'll run on its own. This is too good to be true." And Elsie, Lincoln, and Benedict is telling us that our minds are even better than that. And once we learn how to use them, they'll work on their own. We can go about our business and get some baked potatoes and not even have to worry about it. The stove does this because it is constructed along scientific lines in accordance with great, eternal, immutable, natural, and divine laws, laws which the brain of man discovered and now applies to the solutions of his problems. Each of us is constructed by the maker, with a capital M, of these divine and natural laws. We are built in accordance with them and operate successfully only when these laws are understood and applied. So that's when you hear people talking about the universal laws, whether it be, the law of attraction, the law of vibration, the law of gravity, the law of physics, like the different laws that are immutable facts and work no matter if you're a good person or a bad person in this universe, when you know how to work the universal laws. Like a farmer, if they're a big jerk and a terrible person, can grow a field of corn just like the saint angel nuns that grow and plant the seeds. They can have a field of corn. One is an angel saint nun, holy person. The other is a big jerk thief and a crook. They can both plant and harvest a field of corn because they're following the universal laws. They take the seed, they plant it in the soil, they water it, and they work the land, and then they harvest it. They are working with the universal laws. The field of corn, the seeds, the soil does not care if it's a good person or a bad person planting it. It's going to return because you're working with the laws. And that's why you see people like, how are they successful? They're just rotten. They're evil people. Like, there are evil people who are rich and there are good people who are rich. There are evil people who are poor and there are good people who are poor. It's impersonal. And I think once we understand that, we have this very cursory, childlike belief that's been programmed into us that a sign of being good and favored is rich, being rich and wealthy. No, that's just working with the universal laws. It's just like when somebody just thinks about money and being rich or earning money, like they're going to attract it. They're fully focused on that. But good people have been taught to not. Like, poverty is virtuous. Be humble. Don't have too much. Good, holy people don't have money. It's like, right? And that's why you see a lot of people, good people, continue to be in poverty. It's like false humility. Listen, poor people can't help poor people, period. When you understand that, you'll get rid of all those thoughts right away. Oh, I don't want to be selfish. I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to be seen as. Why would anybody think you're greedy and selfish? What are you going to do with it? You can do something bad with it. You can do something good with it. Stop this back and forth of like feeling like it's some sort of reflection of your character as a person if you have money, if you don't have money. It's neither here nor there. You're the one, we're the ones that put the meaning on money. And if it's not working for you right now, change the meaning about money. I use this all the time, three types of people that say money isn't important, right? Money's not important. Money's not important. There's only three types of people. Number one, people who don't have any. People who do not have much money say money's not important. Of course, it's not. They ain't got none. They don't understand. That's the first type of person. They ain't got none. Second type of person, they've never truly been without it. Okay? If someone hasn't truly been broke or poor or without money, they can easily say money's not that important. They've never truly been without it. They've never realized that they've couldn't put food on the table or pay their bills. They've never been in that situation because somebody who hasn't had enough money to put food on the table or gas in their tank, Those people know how important money is. When you can't be putting gas in your car to get to work, yeah, money's very important at that moment. So people who say money's not that important, they've never truly been without it. They don't understand, they don't get it. And the last is people who aren't generous. People don't understand the good that money can do beyond their presence. Donating, hiring other people, giving money away, helping families, like they might not have the time to spend, but they can give the money to, compensate for that or whatever. So those are the three types of people that say money isn't important. Number one, people who don't have any. Number two, people who've never truly been without it. And number three, people who aren't generous and understand the power that money can have in doing good in this world. So money is very important, but it's not everything. And we're doing this event. I talked about it. I'm going to put the description below. It's in yesterday's video as well to sign up for Think and Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. Napoleon Hill realized at the end of his life that nothing matters except peace of mind. He knew that his whole life, right? When he wrote the 12 riches of life, the first riches was peace of mind, a positive mental attitude. So if we're not at peace, that's the true wealth. True wealth is peace of mind, baby. True wealth is peace of mind. hmm It doesn't matter how much money you have. We see it all the time with rich people, movie stars, musicians, artists, athletes. They're miserable and their relationships reflect it. Their health reflects it. Ooh, it's terrible. Yeah. Okay, so the cook is convinced. The cook loves the oven, and Elsie Lincoln Benedict is telling us that we have been built even better than the oven, and we got lots of bells and whistles that once we learn how to use them within, they can work wonders for us. So each of us is constructed by the maker of these divine and natural laws. We are built in accordance with them and operate successfully only when these laws are understood and applied. Imagine a machine 10,000 times more versatile than the electric stove, equally simple to operate, equally accurate, equally dependable. And you get some idea of the God-made mechanism that you are. Wow. The saddest thing in life is that most people are like the cook, refusing to believe in their own possibilities, thinking these promises too good to be true, and clinging to outworn methods. That is so true. Just staying in these parameters, like, don't be silly, that's not possible. Like, yeah, it's not to you because you don't even want to look outside of, like, just peek around like, oh wow, I didn't know that was there. But you have to be open-minded and willing, just like this cook was. She was at least willing to go and check out the new electric stove, and now she's benefiting from it. What about you? Have you studied the universal laws? Have you really gotten to your personal development? Do you know how the mind works? The mind is not the brain. Do you know what runs the show? Do you know how to live from the inside out? Do you know the success principles that work regardless, that stand the test of time? Just like the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Those are success philosophies and principles that work if you apply them. 100% money back guaranteed. But the reason why most people read books like that and nothing happens is because they just read the book and they don't do anything. They read the book once, you know? We oftentimes say, when you meet someone, ask them not if they've read Think and Grow Rich, ask them how many times they've read Think and Grow Rich, and you'll know what kind of person they are. If they say, oh, I read that book once, I read that book a long time ago, I don't even continue the conversation because I already know what kind of person that is. Because in the front pages of that book, it says, this is not a book you just read once. It's a book you study for life. And successful people, all, not all successful people, but anybody who is successful and attributes their success to Think and Grow Rich, say, I read it every year. I read it every day. I have a mastermind group around it. It's on my desk. I use it regularly. Many successful people say that, especially in the personal development world. So the saddest thing in life is that most people are like the cook, refusing to believe in their own possibilities, thinking these promises are too good to be true. The law of attraction. I can think about what I want, right? I just have to get emotionally involved with it. Yeah, right. Then you'll never experience that. What's the option? we're handed down this fate and we're doled out a destiny that we have no control over? I don't think so. There's too many stories like we are responsible for our experience of life, 100% accountability. And it is not pretty at times, especially when things are going to crap. Okay, so people want things, all kinds of things. But okay, let's start this over. The saddest thing in life is that most people are like the cook. All right. They think they cling to outworn methods. They want things, all kinds of things, just like as she wanted her cooking done, and they want to get them with the least effort, just as she did. But they cannot bring themselves to utilize the great new discovery. So people want so many things, but they're unwilling to learn new ways of doing it, better ways of doing it, easier ways of doing it. You may have imagined that the human race hates work worse than anything else in the world, and it does, with one exception. That exception is thought. So the human race hates work worse than anything else in the world, with one exception. The exception is thought. Like the cook, the average person will struggle with unnecessary toil, exercising his muscles long, arduous hours, rather than exercising his mind ever so little. That, Henry Ford said this, Wallace D. Wattles said that in that book, The Science of Getting Rich. Thinking is one of the most laborious activities. That's why most people don't do it. Thinking is some of the hardest work, right? But it's not physical labor, but it gets easier. When you start to really think for yourself, what's the phrase? I always use it, that educator from Kentucky, Ken McFarland, only 2% of people think. 3% of people think they think, and 95% of people would rather die than think, because thinking it takes a lot of effort. It's not easy to do. Mental activity, the spinning in our head, does not constitute thinking. It's not thinking. We really don't think much. We're just regurgitating and playing back or listening to other people and parroting back what they say. When was the last time you took a piece of literature and really thought for yourself? What do you think about this? Right? I remember sitting in my apartment and I think I cracked open, I don't know what I was reading, Epictetus. I love me some Epictetus. Or Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And I was reading them and I was like, wow. And I would write notes and I would come to like these conclusions. And then I would read further, then they would say the same thing. I'm like, oh my God, I thought the same thing. And that's when you realize like these people who we quote all the time and think they're like otherworldly geniuses that don't exist anymore, they were just tapping into the universal consciousness that we all have. But they just sat and thought. They took the time. You have that same power too. We can all tap into this universal consciousness. Carl Jung talks about it. Freud. We all have access. We just have to make time to sit and think about it. I encourage you, get one of your favorite books out, whatever speaks to you, and read and take some notes. What do you think about that? What are your takeaways? What do you think that means? Right? Trust yourself. All right. How many times have you seen people doing work they hated in the hardest, slowest way, wearing themselves out, making themselves old, and keeping themselves in poverty, when a little thinking would have enabled them to shorten and lighten it, thus improving it to the point where better pay and emancipation would come from it? This course of lessons is for the purpose of explaining the possibilities of your great subconscious mechanism, a mechanism that can secure for you anything you really want, and with far less effort than you have been expending up to now, providing you will only read the instructions and then apply them. All right? In the first lesson, we explain how your moods set this great inner mechanism to working for or against you, according to whether they are destructive or constructive. That these moods, of course, are ours. There are great currents of power, which can, by right thought, be turned on constructively, or by wrong thought, turned so as to burn down our house with us in them. Oh my God, let's read that again. So she's saying in the first lesson, we explained how our moods set this great inner mechanism to work for or against you, according to whether they are destructive or constructive moods. That these moods of ours are great currents of power, which can, by right thought, be turned on constructively, or by wrong thought, turned so as to burn down our house with us in them. How many times have you felt like a dumpster fire inside? It's because we're a chaotic mess. We are emotionally dysregulated because our thoughts are just garbage and we're just believing them. Like, why are we thinking what we're thinking? It's probably just a habit. We're addicted to it. It's on loop. We have those what they call secondary gains. We get off on it. We get a second benefit. We love it. We secretly love it. And you can say, Carla, no, I don't. I'm in pain. It's like we had a great lesson Antonio taught in the Think and Grow Rich mentorship on Tuesday about what if we reframed our fears, things that trouble us, our pain points, our traumas. If you struggle with your physical body, if you struggle with your health, what do you love about that? What do you love about your health struggle? If you struggle with money and poverty and lack, what do you love about lack? That can seem really wild. Like, Carla, what do I love about lack? I don't love anything about lack. I don't want to be in lack. I hate lack. No, there's something in you that is you're secretly benefiting from for staying in lack. And so on further exploration, for example, you might secretly love lack because then you're not responsible. You can always depend on people. You don't have to take accountability for your life. You don't have to change your situation. You don't have to move to a better place. You don't have to stop hanging around with your broke friends. Maybe you have brokenness in common. Maybe that's your common time. Maybe all your family's in poverty. And if you got out, you would be alone. They wouldn't like you. They would think that you're, full of yourself or selfish. Like these are unconscious, by the way. So I encourage you to do that exercise. What do you love about your pain? There's a thing called secondary gain. Someone also admitted, and we all do this, like we feel like a victim. I felt like a victim. I had such existential rage. I was so mad at God. And I said, something's wrong, buddy, because I'm a good person and my life should be better, right? I had such a bad attitude and I was a victim. I loved playing the victim. It wasn't my fault. It was not my fault. Trust me. I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything right. I got papers. I got receipts. But upon further exploration, I was not doing everything right. I was complaining. I was playing a victim. I didn't want to take responsibility and accountability and look at my behaviors and how destructive they were, like drinking. For me, that was mine. It was causing such chaos in my life and anxiety and depression. And I was the one doing it. So I'm sitting here saying, God, when is my life going to get better? And he's like, girl, when you going to get your shit together, right? I've been trying to tell you, get off the bottle, stop drinking, right? And it wasn't so direct like that. It was just a whisper, a feeling like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I don't really feel good when I do it. I do stupid things when I do it. I got the little whispers, but I didn't want to stop. And not just that, I didn't think I had to because it was so socially acceptable. Everybody else is doing it. Everybody's fine. Like everybody else is doing it. Why me? Why do I have to stop? Why can they have a couple glasses of wine and I can't? Right? And I just would fight it. But we have to take responsibility, really go within, right? So she's saying, let's really understand how the subconscious mechanism works. Read the instructions and apply them. Oh, what just happened? I just threw my thing. Okay. Okay, we need to apply them, not just read it, but apply it, embody it, take action on these things, use them. In the first lesson, we explained how our moods set this great inner mechanism. All right, I read that. Our house is burning down. Okay, so the first lesson, we explained how the moods are either constructive or destructive, and they're the force of our life, our moods, how we feel, our emotions run our life, period. Lesson 2, We explained just how to keep the current turned in a constructive channel. So, how to get our moods right in constructive and positive. All right. So, we learned how to keep our moods current turned into the constructive channels, and that we do not do the work ourselves any more than the cook furnishes the fire for the baked potatoes in the electric stove. Let me read that again. In the second lesson, we explained just how to keep the current turned into constructive channels, and that we do not do the work ourselves any more than the cook furnishes the fire for the baked potatoes in the electric stove. We simply watch the switches and keep them turned the right way. So, yeah, all we have to do is we're not the ones creating our vibration. The vibration is created automatically by the thoughts we put in it. So, our thoughts are the things that we have to turn in the right direction, and then the vibration just takes care of itself. So, we just watch the switches and keep them turned in the right way. Our thoughts, we just watch our thoughts and keep them turned in the right way by giving the harmonious reaction to the events of life. So, again, when things happen, like when I spilled again tonight my drink. You just laugh. This is good. Like, why get upset over these things? Especially the little things in life, the little bothers, right? In the third lesson, we explained how definite desire generates a high voltage and focuses it on the thing that you want, how not to dissipate your current, how to make up your mind just as the cook must, as to exactly what you want most. We can't eat everything for dinner, no matter how much we would like to. We must make a selection and then work toward its realization without thinking about all the things we decided to forego at this time. So make a decision, focus on that, forget everything else. Decide on something. When you decide for something, yeah, you're deciding not for other things. But you didn't decide those things. You decided this, so focus on this. Like, it's like, if you're trying to pick a partner, you have a couple suitors, you're dating a couple people, pick one. If you want to settle down, pick one. Forget about everybody else. But you see that is trouble too for some people. They want like a little side boo-boo, and they want to like still talk and entertain other people. That never ends well. And it doesn't feel good to do that, right? You're dishonest. Focus our attention on our desires. We found that, just as in the case of the dinner, some of the things we would like and could get are not good for us. Some are not worth cooking, and some do not combine well with the other things that we want. In this course, we are going to explain the 4 gauges, which, when properly set, will produce anything in this world that you really want. The 4 steps by which we arrive at any destination we wish to reach. We'll end there. So in this course, we are going to explain the 4 gauges, which, when properly set, will produce anything in this world you really want. The 4 steps by which we arrive at any destination we wish to reach. I can't wait to finish reading this with y'all. So I hope you enjoyed that. Be sure to look in the description box below this YouTube video. If you're on Facebook, hop on over to the YouTube, like and subscribe. And all of the links below, we have the free event at the end of the month, Think and Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be phenomenal. If you want to work with me, I do human design readings. I do one-on-one release to receive packages. It's like therapeutic coaching. If you want to remove any blocks, anything you want to work through, any trauma, any limiting belief or narrative that's keeping you stuck, if you lost your mojo, if you're going through a breakup, if you're trying to get over someone, right? It's really helpful to process those things instead of burying them down. If you need support in any way, all my information's below. I encourage you to, check it out. And yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know. Put it in the comments. What were your takeaways? I'm really enjoying reading all of your guys' comments, and I appreciate your support. So I hope I didn't leave anything out. This is number 50, y'all. Again, if you missed any previous reading, we're doing this whole book together. I have a playlist on the YouTube under Elsie Lincoln Benedict's How to Get Anything You Want, along with other playlists, which I really need to get on my Course in Miracles. I love A Course in Miracles, and I'm going to do a lesson for each of the workbook lessons, 365 days, but I'm not putting a time frame on that for myself. I am going to do lesson number 16 from the workbook next. I'll probably do it tomorrow. But I read from A Journey Through the Workbook of A Course in Miracles from Kenneth Wapnick, which is very copious notes, and it takes a while. So I got to get back into that if you're interested. That's just a very niche thing that I do. I have a playlist here as well for that if you were interested. Other than that, love y'all. Have a wonderful evening. I got to go to bed. I got an early meeting. I'll see you guys tomorrow.